Hi FPL community, it's Adam Hopcroft. Thought I'd post another short video at the start of this week to cover quickly game week 9, but more importantly, start to look ahead at some of the key things for game week 10. So we just had game week 9. I don't think many people had a great game week as a lot of the premium and top players didn't score very highly. My shout was Abraham as captain, and yeah, he did blank. I think he was probably a tad unlucky. I think that he got the chances, just didn't put them away. So hopefully his luck will turn round for game week 10. And I think that was the story of the week. A lot of people were unlucky. We had VAR getting rid of the Liverpool clean sheet and getting rid of the Mane goal. You had Sterling, who had the chances to probably get more. Same for De Bruyne. Obviously, we talked about Abraham as well. So, it could. I think putting my points into FPL Research's site, I was probably 30 points unlucky this week. So hopefully, my luck will change round, and everybody else's will change round for next game week. I think looking at game week 10. I think there's a couple of really key themes that will decide whether you have a good game week. I think there's two things. So firstly, for me, it's captaincy, which we'll talk about in a second, and getting the right captain, which seems to be proving quite difficult this season. I think the second thing is picking the right defenders, because the clean sheets this week, I think there's a lot of choice, and it's not much to choose between. So we'll talk about that a bit later on as well. So captaincy, only one place to start. I'm still fairly undecided, but City have got a home tie against Villa. As much as I would love Villa to keep a clean sheet, I don't think that's going to happen. City have been rampant, particularly at the Etihad, and I think they posted an XG of nearly around about 4 away at Palace, so they're back and firing. I think looking at City is probably a sensible place. The question is, who do you go for? So I think there's three main options: Aguero, De Bruyne, and Sterling. I think if you just look at this season, and I know Ben McNair pulled me up and said it's a very short sample size. He's absolutely right. But just looking at this season home form, I think De Bruyne really stands out. He's played 3 matches, 2 goals, 5 assists, and an incredible 8 bonus. So he's pretty much swept up his full bonus allocation there. Sterling just got 1 goal in 3 games, and Aguero I think got 4 goals and 2 assists. So a great option as well. I think if you take it back and look at a larger sample size, if we look to maybe their last 10 matches at home, this doesn't favour De Bruyne as much. So he's got 4 goals and 5 assists. Sterling, I think, has got 6 goals and 3 assists. And Aguero's got 11 goals and 3 assists off the top of my head. So again, that's probably favouring more towards Aguero. I personally think the form that De Bruyne is in, I personally think at the moment he's the best option, but I think there's a couple of things that we probably want to wait to check first. So I think there'll be all eyes on the Atlanta match tonight. Who starts in that? Is it Jesus? Is it Aguero? Whilst you can never properly guess Pep Roulette, I think that will give us a bit of an indication. As a Sterling owner, I'd like to see Mendy miss out tonight. I don't think he'll play 3 lots of 90 minutes in a week, and if you looked at the heat map of Sterling and the positions he was getting into, a lot of people have mentioned that he was getting a little bit more central again, and Mendy was really providing the width. So I think from an FPL point of view, it'll be good for Mendy to be starting the weekend. I think that'll be good for Sterling owners. I do expect, and we'll be interested to see Dean Smith's press conference before the game. I do expect Villa to try to slightly change their setup, and I think Douglas Luiz will come in and potentially for Hourihane, and I think that will go a little bit more defensively to try and combat obviously all the City attacking options. But we'll obviously have to wait to see what Dean Smith says on later on in the week. Looking outside City options, I think there's some really good options. So Tammy Abraham in his last 3 away games has got 6 goals. He's playing Burnley, but I think it's a sort of game he could do well in. So if you want a little punt, maybe look at him. A lot of people have been looking at Hudson-Odoi versus Mount. I think on a side note, Mount has actually scored in his last 3 away games as well. So wouldn't captain him, but it's probably worth knowing. Another option, I think Jamie Vardy could do quite well away at Southampton. I think their style, they've conceded in each all of their home games this season. So, and I expect the way that they play, he'll get a lot of space potentially in behind. So I think Vardy could be a very good option as well. I think probably one that may go under the radar a little bit is Sadio Mane. So in his last 10 home games, he's got 12 goals, which is absolutely phenomenal. And that includes his cameo performance against Norwich in there. So I think Mane could be an option worth looking at as well. But I think the key thing with a lot of those teams is keep your eye on the Champions League. You've got an extra match to scout these players and to check out for injuries or other things as well. The second part, so I think getting captaincy right will be key. The second part for me will be picking the defenders. I think it's a really tricky week to pick the right defenders. If I look at my own personal situation, I have Trent Alexander-Arnold, who's playing Spurs. I think most will play a Liverpool defender. I've got Otamendi. Will he play against Villa or not? I think if he does, but it would make sense to start him. And then I've got Rico, Lundstram, and Dunk, and they've all got fairly favourable fixtures. So Lundstram is a really interesting one. Do people start him this week? So they've kept 3 clean sheets in the last 4. They've kept 2 clean sheets away from home on the bounce. So I think for me that's potentially quite interesting as to what to do with Lundstram, whether you start him, whether you put him first bench. At the moment, I think West Ham might score, which is leaning me towards potentially starting Dunk at home to Everton. But I think these decisions are going to be what makes or breaks your game week, along with captaincy. I think the other thing to check out in relation to this is FPL Salah always post the clean sheet odds. Now I personally find that useful, so I think check out his tweets on that, because I think it's a week where there could be fine margins, and it's going to be really about getting the right captain and getting the right clean sheets. I think that's it for me. I'll post another video later in the week after the Champions League games, because I think a lot of what I'm going to do and a lot of what's going to happen is going to depend on that. Hope you find them useful. Please, like, subscribe, etc. That would be great. If there's any other things you want me to cover later on in the week as well, do let me know, and I'll try my best to include them in the next video. Brilliant. Thanks, guys. Speak